Hello everybody and welcome to this walkthrough of the text guide with me and Mr. RJTV. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
I am back. I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Very happy to be back here on the screen with you. We have got a lot of comments and requests, like wondering what have we done. But you know, it has been Christmas and other stuff to do. But now we are finally back, and hopefully this will be for all the tournaments to come as well. And as always, everyone, in this video we're going to go over the text guides that is done for them. Second anniversary tournament. So we go over hole number 1 to hole number 9, going through rookie, which will be the section that RJ is going to cover completely, and then we're going to help each other out with pro and expert, and I'm going to cover mostly most of the pro, expert, and master myself as well. And as always, if you do have any questions, let me or us know in the comment section down below. Just a little bit quick here before we start as well. The text guides are public now, so you can get them through the link in the video description down below. And also, if you do want to get the updated text guides, which will be out on Tuesday, then you can get them through patreon.com/golf-tommy. So what a long intro, and I think we're going to go right in to the action, and as always, going to throw over the ball to you, my friend. I'm going to start with hole number 1. How do we play that one?
Okay, well, I had extra mile, but during show prep, I talked with Tommy, and we decided the quarterback is a much safer way to go, because with the extra mile, I had you jumping over where the 2 black boxes are, landing where the first black box is, and then using the top spin to get over. He told me that you could actually use a higher level quarterback just to reach over to that second fairway without, without any issues. So because it's rookie, I think most people are going to be jumping it with topspin to get up near the sand. However, if you have a high enough level quarterback, you can throw backspin on it as well and just go ahead and jump that whole area altogether and land in the same spot where that second black box is. Then, also make sure you adjust 10% on your adjustment there. I would also use a quasar, and on your drive, if you are jumping over, like I suggested, full right spin, 1 ball right curl, and that'll set you up for a beautiful backbone shot.
Awesome. I love how the dog in the background did also accept the way that explained it. And
right on cue.
Yeah, exactly. So I will go over them for pro, expert, and master. We start with pro and expert. We play from the second tee. And here it comes to, if we do have any form of tailwind, then we're going to go straight forward following the white line. The thing we're going to do is that we're going to play the first bounce before the rough and the sand, to bounce over into the rough on the top of the sand to roll out on the fairway. That's the ultimate way that the ball is going to go, which will leave us to a wedge or a short iron, which in my book should kind of be a very, very good opportunity for an eagle there. If we do have some sort of headwind, then we need to play on the right side. Then we play with the same type of structure as RJ did explain, and then we play just with topspin bouncing over to the right. Very important here to over adjust with those 10%, so you don't most of the time under adjust your shot. Master, same thing here. Tailwind, then we could go straight forward with any other type of wind. I would say crosswind, headwind, then we need to play on the right. Second shot, the same thing there from the right side. Bounce before the rough and bounce over towards the pin there. And ball wise, I would say for pro and expert, it comes down to either playing with a katana kingmaker titan, or we play with a berserker ball if we would be kind of in that spot in between, if we're going to reach over or not. Master, berserker, or it's going to be a regular kingmaker. So, hole number 2, par 3, one of the Nordic fjords, and this one we played from already 2 tournaments ago. So we go over directly. How do we play hole number 2?
Yeah, this is a nice fresh hole for us. Should still be fresh in our memory. Remember, it's a 10% adjustment because it's slightly downhill. I like the backbone because of the accuracy, and because I like the backbone, I like the black line as shown on the screen. With the quasar, I go full right spin, just a tad, just a tad of right curl. If you don't put any right curl on at all, you're not really going to mess up the shot, but I'm just trying to emphasize, don't go crazy with the right curl. And one backspin to kind of stabilize it a little. You can go Goliath and go with the other island, the island to the right of it. I just, for all that accuracy, I feel like it's really dialed in for the black line, so that's the way I would go.
Yeah, that's the same we're going to play with Pro and Expert and Master as well. The only difference it could be if we would be having headwind in Master, then we can go directly onto the green, use a club with a lot of backspin to try to get short, as the thing that we do need to have in mind here is the compress and the extended ball guideline depending on the wind that we're going to have. That we very easy for us to get the ball into the water if we do use too much of backspin in headwind. Normally on this hole here we're going to use around 4.5 bar backspin when we do have tailwind from the second tee, which we're going to play with a wood club. If we do have crosswind, going to play with 3, headwind going to play with 2.5 bar backspin. Very important that we do go with those numbers instead of trying to rely on the ball guideline, as again headwind it's going to compress the ball guideline, tailwind's going to extend, and that is very, very important when we do have this very tiny spot to actually play with, or at least when we do have a lot of water in play. Master here, we're going to play with a wood club as well in tailwind. With driver we play in headwind. I do hope we're going to see some crosswind or tailwind here. Headwind is going to mess up a lot for us here. I do suggest you play with a ball with more wind resistance. Wind resistance 3 ball like a kingmaker would be good for like second tee. Wind resistance 5 ball would be the best on the master tee, but again those are special ball, so the only thing I would say, use the ball with the most wind resistance, and always 10% downhill on this one for the elevation. Hole number 3, we take another of the Nordic fjords, and this one I believe, depending on the wind of course, we're going to see some albatrosses here, or what do you think?
It's definitely a possibility. I like going with the black line. Now you look at the white line, it looks a lot more safer, but it doesn't really set you up that great for your second shot. For the albatross or the eagle, you could make a mistake. So because of that, take the black line. Depending on the wind that we're going to have will depend whether you go 1 topspin or 1 backspin. If the wind's in your face, go 1 topspin to make sure you can jump over the bunker. If the wind is at your back, go 1 backspin to make sure you don't go too far into the rough, messing up your second shot. I would bring a Titan as well, just because you want to make sure you have the distance for both the drive and your second shot, because you are bringing the big dog. And if you have a a headwind on your second shot, I would go with about 4 or 5 topspin. And if you have tailwind on your second, I'm sorry, yeah, and if you have tailwind on your second shot, obviously you want to tone that down, because you know you're going to carry further and your bounces are going to grow exponentially.
Yes, and when it comes to Pro and Expert and Master, we're going to play it exactly the same way if the wind allows to it. I'm going to start with Pro and Expert, and here we're going to play with the same type of method, like around half a bar to a bar of backspin in when we do play over. Always as much left side spin as possible. That too, as we otherwise are going to bounce into the rough to the right side there. So the side spin to the left will be important here. The last time we played this hole we had tailwind, and then that half a bar and 1 bar of backspin was good. If we do have headwind here, I would say take away the backspin completely and play it without. Never play with topspin when you play on the second tee, as we, yeah, just don't do it, because then we risk going to the rough there on top. If we would be having tailwind on this one again, then we can play with the sniper for the second shot, and of course that would be a huge thing for us to play with a sniper here. But the problem is, when we do get crosswind or headwind, the sniper won't have the distance enough. Then we either have to decide for 2 things. We either play with a big dog, or we play with a cataclysm that gives us 180 yards. Or we play with a power 4 ball, which gives the sniper some more yards, will be similar to cataclysm or the big dog with a power 3 ball. Then we could play still with the sniper. But in the end, power 4 balls, the special balls, those we have to buy and stuff like that. So we try to stay away from that if possible. When it comes to straight headwind on this course here, if the wind is fairly strong, and I would say when we get up to like an 8 mile per hour headwind, then I would say that we actually need to push ourselves playing right. Because going a max overpowered shot or maybe a double bounce over the bunker on the left is going to be very, very tough. And therefore we need to try to follow the left path of the or the left side of the fairway on the right, and then we're going to have a very long shot towards the green. It's going to be possible, but then we're going to have to play with the big dog or the cataclysm to even get remotely close to the green or onto the green. I dislike right side so much as it gives us no open way towards the pin. That's why I don't suggest it like with normal way to play, and only in headwind. And that's kind of the same when it comes to master here, with one extra thing. It's like if we do have straight crosswind, we will have to play right as well, as we don't going to have enough distance to bounce over. Last time in master we had some northwest wind, which is weird that I remember all the wind from earlier tournament because I'm a nerd. But a lovely nerd, you know, a cute nerd. Then we're going to play on the right side with crosswind and headwind, but with tailwind in any form we're going to play over to the left side. So let's try to summon that one down in terms of like, you need distance for the second shot. It is important. You also want to consider playing with a power 4 ball, especially when you play from in master from third tee, but also maybe when you play from second tee as well. This should be, with tailwind, a pretty neat and nice adjustment for going for the pin to try to make an albatross. With headwind, this is going to be a fight for the eagle. So let's go to hole number 4. That's the part 3 of the Park the Purry. You know, this rhyming thing, that's my thing, you know. And I'm going to again drop over the ball to you, RJ. And how do we play hole number 4 here?
Oh man, I'm glad I'm not the only one bobbling over my words. Of course, unless it was contagious and I gave it to you. In that case, I'm sorry. Once again, just like the first 3 holes, we got a 10% downgrade, so 10% adjustment. I like the backbone here and the black line. Now, I say black line, you see 2 different black lines. But I'm teaching rookie, so you'll see the one black line to the right goes to the first tee. That's where I like to go. That black box, if you see, Tommy situated it right in between the 2 shadows of those trees by the bunker, so you have a nice reference spot when you take this shot. By landing right there near the bunker, I would go with 4 backspin if we have headwind, 3 backspin if we have a side wind, or 2 backspin if we have a tailwind. I would also go with the quasar with full right spin.
Yes, and the thing that we're going to do from the second tee is that we're going to change club. We're not going to play with the long iron anymore, and we're in that case going to play with our wood club. Still over adjusted 10%, and we're going to play guardian, or we're going to play sniper. And that comes down to what you prefer to play with. The important part is that you will have at least 5 bars of backspin with your wood club. So if you have a lower level sniper, could be better to play with a lower level guardian, so you do have at least that as backspin. So the thing that you want to do is that you do want to aim with like a 2, 3, 4 bars of side spin to the right as standard, and then with tailwind we go with 5 bars of backspin, crosswind we go with 4, and then headwind we go with round 3. Bounce it up towards the pin, try to get it in. Very tough to do so, but it is absolutely possible. From the third tee, it's going to change again. If we do have crosswind or headwind, we're going to play with a driver. If we're going to have tailwind, we're going to play with a wood club. And I hope that we're going to have some headwind or crosswind here, because the driver, or I would say it's easy to control as we're going to bounce closer to the pin. Then that's why we have the third black marker there, because in tailwind with from third tee, we're going to play with our wood club to bounce already down there, and that is going to be very, very tough. So we're going to see what type of wind we're going to have, because it's so many things. Only the way is the same is kind of for rookie and for also pro and expert, but the spin will vary it a lot when it comes to Pro, Expert and Master. Have in mind though that you do need backspin. I would say also in Master, use the Guardian and the Rocket as key clubs, so you do have a lot of backspin, so you don't get any trouble if you do get some strong tailwind. Elevation, we did take that, like 10% over adjustment, very important. Now we go over to hole number 5. Hole number 5 here is, in my book, it's going to be the absolute toughest hole for us to play if we're going to have some crosswind or headwind. And I'm very interested to hear how we're going to play hole number 5.
Man, I couldn't agree more, Tommy. You look, we got to aim very close to the rough and the sand, both in front and behind where our ball's first going to bounce. Look how narrow that fairway. Oh, wait a second. I'm getting some news flash. Golf Clash Tommy channel. This is a 25% adjustment to boot with all these other problems that we are going to be facing on our drive. Repeat, make sure you use caution. Yeah, this is tough to begin with, and then to throw a 25% adjustment on top of it is going to separate you from a lot of other people who end up in the sand or in the rough. So I would go extra mile and tighten. You might even want to burn a kingmaker here just to lower down your 25 percentage a little bit more, because the lower the wind, the lower the percentage. That's up to you based on the balls you have, but I'm going to go with Titan because it's the cheapest ball that's power 3. Full top spin, full left spin, aim between the bunker and the rough, right where he has his first black box there, and then with a full top spin, you should end up by that second black box on the left-hand side that you see there. Now, some people are going to clip the rough and get lucky and, you know, still land out on the fairway. This is another reason why you want to use that full top spin. Because of this, your second shot could go one of two ways. Hopefully, if you took the shot perfectly, you'll end up right where that second black box is, and then you can just go with a bunch of backspin, 4 to 5, with the big dog, and a 5% decrease because we're going back uphill, and that'll get you really close, you know, basically on the putting green. However, if you do mess up your shot a little and you clip the rough one way or the other and you still end up on the fairway, you may have to bounce. Just below his black box is some rough, and then below that rough is another spot of fairway where you'll need some curl and probably some top spin to perfect that. So you got it. You heard it here first live. 25% adjustment on this already hard course. I'm anxious to see how are the pro, experts, and masters going to handle this, Tommy.
We are going to do 2 ways, and the thing that we're going to do 2 ways is that if we do get tailwind, we're going to actually go over into overpower. No, I shouldn't be like suggesting overpower, like I do it very rarely, but I don't see any better way to play this drive with tailwind. The reason for that is that the drive in itself are very tough if we do try to bounce over the rough and the sand. If we do get tailwind, we should be pulling out a power 4 or power 5 ball with a very low wind resistance, trying to get as far as possible. Worst case scenario you're going to do that is that you're going to reach to the rough on the top, like on the top of the second black marker, and from there, that area you can with tailwind reach for the green into with your rough iron. And also, if you go short on the fairway there, or you go long on the second fairway, then you can get to the green there very nicely. And the reason we're doing that is that we're taking away a lot of obstacles already in the beginning by going full blast and trying to rely on the fact that we actually can hit an overpower ball good. If we do have crosswind and headwind though, then we need to take a step back, need to adjust our shot perfectly, as we need to add the 25%, as the ball is going to be affected way more by the wind than normal. We bounce before the rough, bounce over with as much topspin that we possibly can, and try to bounce into that narrow fairway roll as far as possible. That would, in some cases, if you are off, if you maybe hit a great or a good shot to either side, that could potentially endangering you going into the rough, and then it's game over from reaching the green in 2 with headwind or crosswind. But that is the thing that we do need to do. If we're going to take the drive as well before we take the second shot from the third tee, then you can see we have a white line there with some strong crosswind, maybe left to right crosswind, and also maybe left to right crosswind slash headwind. Then I would actually consider us to go on the right side. Why, you may ask? The reason is that we do have a wider fairway to play with, so we can bounce over the rough and the sand, which will be tough in itself with that strong wind. But playing over there with a power 4 ball will give us a chance to bounce over to where you can see the second white marker and bounce over to be very near the green and hopefully have a decent wedge or either maybe a putt for the pin. Second shot from the black line, same as RJ explained. Under adjust the shot with 5%. And then you're going to play it very nicely towards the pin. This is an eagle hole in its like albatross. I don't expect that. It would be lovely to get some, but like eagle is the thing that we're looking for. Many players will do a birdie on this one, but the key thing is here that use the tailwind and go full blast. It will give you a big advantage in terms of that you can still reach even if you go into the rough there on the top. A lot of things to talk about there, you know, and but hole number 5 is going to kind of be, depending on the wind of course, but if we do get crosswind or headwind, it's going to basically be a tiebreaker hole in terms of like, will be many players making birdie, and if you make an eagle, that's basically going to be to get an extra shot over your opponents, in my opinion.
Two things I'd also like to bring up on hole 5.
Yes.
Number 1, be advised, if you do get an albatross on this hole, there's a very high possibility you will break into song and dance. So, you know, if you're playing in public, just know that that's a possibility. But the second thing I want to mention, Tommy mentioned using a power 4 ball. Hey, Tommy, did you know that I have over 4 packs of Berserkers thanks to watching your Golden Shot videos? You guys should have Berserkers.
Yes, and you are right with that, you know, and I'm very happy to hear. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear, and that's the thing, you know. I remember when we started doing this guy, we never suggested a Berserker because we kind of felt like no one did have them. But now we have boosted it up with the golden shots, and you are absolutely right. And I'm thankful for that that mention, of course. So if you haven't taken your free shot yet, do it before the tournaments. I don't think I think it's the last day today or something like that. It's going to go away tomorrow. So go and take your free shot and get you some Berserkers. So okay, hole number 6, RJ. How do we play this one here from front to tee?
The way I play hole 6 in rookie is very boring, but we like boring. I can't wait for him to explain that white line because it's fun. But we go back to normal ground, just a 10% incline, so we're looking at a 10% adjustment. I would go with an extra mile, and because we have been asking so much out of you in terms of balls for rookie, let's use a marlin here. I would use left spin and 2 back spin to get you near the top, right where that black box is on the left-hand side. Also, by doing that, it sets you up for a nice 1-to-1 backbone shot. I would use about 2 to 4 backspin, depending on how close to the top you were able to get your drive. Don't risk going in the water; it's not worth it. But you know, you want to be up towards the top part, and that's what I got.
Yeah, that's it, and we don't need to know that much more on this one because it's a
straightforward.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty straightforward hole in itself. Like, we have 2 black lines, but the black line kind of explains it in this way from pro and expert tee, but also would come into play with rookie, I would say. Let's pretend we're going to have a northeast wind, for an example, on this hole. Then it would be easier for our drive to play on the right side, as we do have basically straight tailwind on that one when we play, and it's going to be a little bit harder to the left side. But I would play my shot to the left side because we're going to have a straight wind towards the pin for our second shot. And that's why I do have 2 black lines, because we're going to, depending on the angle of the wind, like if we cannot go over by the white line, and I come to that soon, then we're going to choose the side that gives us the most straight shot for the pin for the second shot. And always with a straight win for the second shot, it's way easier to drop that one from distance instead of having like a crosswind for the second shot, which we would be having if we would be choosing the easy side to make the drive on.
But
yes,
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, Tommy, I believe, is about to let us know how our second shot could potentially be a putt.
Yes, that is true. And you know, it's pretty hard on this drawing that is here. I would love to have a little bit more wider, because we do have a reference point on the rocks on the right. But the thing that we need to come to here is actually two-way. The one way is not even written out here on the picture. Like, so I'm going to start with the one that is out there, and that's the hook shot. And depending on the angle of the wind, but let's say we do have a tailwind, and then we can go for a hook shot going to the right and then hook it over to the left. I'm not going to go into details by rings and stuff like that, because it's going to be different from Apocalypse, Thor's Hammer and Extra Mile, of course. But the only thing to have in mind here, that if we do have to go with a hook, we're going to always go with max side spin to the left and 2.5 to 3 bars of top spin. And never go with a hook if you're not having some sort of tailwind. That's very, very important. It doesn't have to be straight tailwind. I could almost say like a wind with some crosswind and tailwind to the left then would be the better way. Another way that is very interesting, especially for you that do have club that do have a lot of backspin. Let's say you have a Thor's Hammer level 5, level 6, level 7. You maybe have a Apocalypse level 6 or something like that. Or maybe like, you know, it could almost be X-Mile level 8 as well. Is that we actually, if you see going for the left route with a black line, the second black box, and if we take that one and pull it like 2 or 3 black boxes out to the left from that position with a tailwind on this hole, now I'm talking about straight tailwind now, we can go with a snow globe ball, and also for Pro and Expert T we can also go with a Berserker ball, which has a little bit wind resistance, max backspin, max side spin to the right, and then we go with as much curl as we possibly can. And then we go full overpower, and that could potentially put ourselves on the green as well. So this hole is going to be basically two-way. Headwind, crosswind, boring. Crosswind with some tailwind, or tailwind in itself, then we're going to have some fun and try to go for the green. And then that is going to be, hole number 6 is going to, in that case, be an absolute must eagle if we do have tailwind. So a lot of stuff with this one, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the game makers is giving us as wind. And before we get too excited, we go to hole number 7.
Now this hole will definitely calm us down, and I'll start by giving the rookie analysis. Yeah. We're going to go with the white line. Now if you look where that white box is, you can kind of see there's like a steep hill that's on the fairway there. You just want to be right to the right hand side of that. Viper works perfectly here. I would go with a Marlin as well. Go full right spin, 3 or 4 back spin depending on the wind, and aim, just like I said, right to the right of that that hill, because when you're playing the game the white box isn't going to be there, so I'm just kind of trying to give a reference point. 15% I have in my notes for this hole.
Yeah, and that is correct. And that it's pretty easy to find that spot before the hill is basically starting on the left. So you're going to see that when you play. To just add that to you there, RJ. And the tricky part with this part 3 is that depending on the ball and the club, it's going to be so different on how we're going to play it. Let's say we do have, or like, sorry, the ball and the wind, I would have to say. Let's say we do have a tailwind and we play with a power 3 ball. We can play with a sniper going by the white mark, playing from Pro and Expert T. But if we do have a crosswind or a headwind, then we need to lower back to the black mark and play it from there. And I know in tournament the wind is going to be the same through the whole tournament, but I always want to find a spot directly from the beginning where we're not going to change in the end. And therefore the black line is going to be the one that I suggest to play with. We're going to over adjust with 15%, very important, and then we're going to take our shot with wood club in tailwind, we're going to play with 1 to 2 bars of backspin. When we play in crosswind, we don't play with any backspin. If we play in headwind, we're going to play with 1 bar of topspin. Very important. And then when we come to, let's say we play with, or from the 30, then it's going to be two-way stat as well. Either we play with a driver when it comes to be some sort of headwind. Then we play with 1.5 bar backspin, as much right side spin as possible, and then aim on where the black mark is showing. Or we play with a wood club in tailwind at the same spot as the black mark is showing as well, and we play with 2 to 3 bars of backspin, max side spin to the right as well. And that comes from prone expertise as well. Always when we adjust by the black mark, max side spin to the right. Very, very important. This is going to be a very bumpy road, bumpy road towards the pin, and just take the birdie and go forward to the next, because you can drop it hole in one time, and you can play it exactly the same the next time. It's still going to give you a different result as the bounces is so inconsistent on this one, unfortunately. So yeah, the par 3s in general are pretty much bad in inconsistent wise, at least. So hole number 8, we have hole number 8 and hole number 9 left of the Eagle Peak. So we start with hole number 8, par 4.
Well, you know, Golf Clash saw how much fun Tommy was going to have on hole 6. So they decided to throw me a bone here on hole 8. And we're going to bust out the big topper, if you have it. If not, I would go with an extra mile. Both clubs, regardless of what you're doing, go full top spin, and we're checking out that white line. And I would bring a power 3 ball. If we got a wind at our back, go ahead and use a Titan. If we have a wind that's on the side kind of coming in, or a headwind, I would go with a Kingmaker. And they just gave us some free Kingmakers that are marked as second anniversary balls. So we should have those, save those for tournaments for sure. Full overpower with your preferred club of the big topper. And it'll get you, you'll land right about where that first white box is. Oh, and also 20% on this hole. But it'll land you right there where that first white box is, and then the top spin will bring you all the way up to where you can peek around those trees you'll see on the left-hand side. And that's why we want to go with a whole bunch of top spin and a whole bunch of overpower here, is because we need to get past them. Otherwise, they're going to be an obstacle, and it's going to cost us another stroke. So if we do go that route, if you're not at all, you know, I know a lot of big toppers have 0 accuracy, 10 accuracy. If you want to use a berserker here and not overpower so much because you got them in the golden shot for free, this might be the spot where you want to do it. But, you know, if you have no problem with overpowering and still being able to hit great, I would definitely suggest going with the white line. And also bring an accurate short iron or long iron for your second shot. You know, maybe with your Hornet or something, you can, or your Backbone, you'll be able to get your Eagle.
Definitely an interesting hole, and I'm going to start by the same type of method here in terms of pro and expertise. If we do get any form of tailwind, we're going to play according to the right side and the white line and try to go as far as possible, give ourselves an open shot towards the pin, over adjust the drive 20%. Very easy drive, I would say, because we do have a lot of room for error here. We can hit a great left, a great right, which should be okay anyway. I know there will be players trying to hook this ball to the green if we do get a tailwind. We did that the last tournament, but it in the end was very inconsistent, and we had to bounce just before the bunkers, and I don't feel comfortable giving you that as a suggestion if I wouldn't be feeling it would be a higher percentage of 50% in how to make that one correctly. Maybe someone will like make me change my mind, I don't know, but after seeing that in the last tournament and studying that shot, it gets so much on where to bounce, and there's such a small area, so therefore I'm not going to go into detail with that one. If we do have any form of headwind, then we need to play according to the black line, unfortunately, because that way is way tougher. I do suggest you to do the rough bump, max side spin left, max topspin on your driver, over adjust 20%, and then some slight curl to the left to put your ball into the left and roll down towards where you can see the third black mark. From there, we do go with a long iron, bounce it on the fairway up to the pin. And that's going to be the same for the right side as well, that we're going to play with either a long iron or a short iron. Master tee, same type of strategy here. Tailwind full blast right side, otherwise left side. And I would consider from Master tee playing with a power 4 ball in general, but I could consider a power 5 ball if we do get some tailwind here as well. Again, the key part here, the 20% elevation, 20% over adjustment for the downhill approach. That's very important. Always when it gets over 10, with 10 we still have some room for error here, but with 20% we don't have that much room for error, and then we need to really be spot on with our adjustment here. So I'm going to take down hole number 8, and we're going to go up to hole number 9, and interesting, I would say, going to as always be a par 5 that we end to in the tournament. So how do we play hole number 9?
Hole number 9, I would go with the extra mile. Well, first of all, another 20%er. Extra mile and a Titan. I would go full top spin to get to the second black box. So you see where the first black box is. That's about where you want to put your aim, minus the wind adjustment. And then the full top spin with an extra mile, especially a lower level extra mile for the rookie players, will get you up towards the top of the second fairway, or where the black box is shown. For our second shot, I would go with the big dog. And I would also go with full back spin if you can reach the last fairway. Or top spin if you need to bounce over the rough where you see the last white box on the left-hand side. In a headwind, I would go right instead of going left, because you may not be able to reach over there, messing everything up. And by going to the right, the big dog is also still going to be your club of choice. However, you're most likely not going to have the distance to get completely off of the rough, so you're going to want to go with a rough bump approach, which I believe, Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, is about 2 to 4 top spin. I know the big dog...
4 to 6, I would say.
4 to 6, okay, because yes, the big dog does not have a very good ball guide, so thank you for that. That's how I would play hole 9.
Yes, and I'm going to, again, take over when it comes to Pro and Expert and Master. We start with Pro and Expert, and with any form of crosswind and tailwind, then we're going to play according to the black line. Tailwind, we can bounce easily before and bounce over, no problem whatsoever. Now my iPad shut down, but no problem. I'm going to take it up again, boom. And then we're going to play left side. Then you're also going to pick the sniper in your bag, as the sniper gives you a way easier time to rough bump that one in the hole for an albatross. Over adjust 20%, very, very important. Then it comes to the tricky part, as RJ already had mentioned, headwind. Then we play right side. We cannot reach over the rough like by bouncing even before the rough, by risking a lot. Because the thing that we don't want to do is to get into the rough or into the sand, because we cannot reach for the green 2 by going into any obstacle there. So then we play right side, and we try to gain as much distance to the right as possible. And I would say, for those of you that play from the front second tee, you're most likely going to have like either like an extra 6, 7, 8, or you have a Thor's hammer level 3, 4, 5 or up, or you maybe have like an Apocalypse 1, 2, 3. And I would say for the drive here, I would almost consider going with the Apocalypse, even if it is on a very low level. The reason for that is curl. Because we do want to have curl for the drive if we're going to play to the right side. Just a minor thing to think of, as the curl for the extra mile level 7, level 8 could be okay, but the curl with an extra mile level 6, 5, and also with a Thor's hammer level 4, level 5, also level 6 is very bad. So then we could consider playing with a lower Apocalypse, because the distance isn't that important compared to the curl on that shot. Always max side spin to the right with the drive there as well. and like 4 to 5 bars of topspin, depending on how much you want to push it there. Second shot, we either curl it around to the left and bounce on the fairway over towards the green, or we play the rough bump with 4 to 6 bars of topspin. Playing right side kind of takes away the albatross opportunity completely, in my book. Sure, it's possible, but it's a lot of luck because you can't aim for the pin. And if you play on the left side, you're going to be able to definitely go for the albatross. Master, same type of structure, only difference is even with a crosswind, we cannot reach over the rough on the top. Then we have to play on the right. So only with any form, with some sort of tailwind in Master, we can play according to the black line. 20% downhill, second shot, I would say it is 5% uphill, so we're going to take away 5%. And we play with a power 3 ball in general. If not in Master, we can play with a power 4 ball, like a dead ball or a royal ball, to give ourselves some more distance. If a Kingmaker X would be good as well. So, here we have it! All the holes here, and I'm very happy that we could go over and cover it. And sure, there will always be situations that we haven't covered. We can't cover everything, because of course you could put yourself with a very lousy drive, or you maybe make an absolute smashing drive that we haven't even thought of. And of course then we need to be innovative as a player, and if we do need to ask, then we ask afterwards, and then you know where to come to ask. And just as always, I want to know, RJ, how will you be streaming this tournament? Will you be streaming at all, or how does it look here?
Oh, I'm going to do my rookie and pro first thing in the morning, cut it up and post it as a video that's about 10 or 20 minutes long, just so people can get their notes off of it. And then I'm also going to be playing my expert accounts. I'll be streaming pretty much every day. Monday, I always have the doctor's appointment, so I come on very late, but that should be the case for the other ones. I just wanted to add on to what you were saying earlier. I know the video's already running long, but I love making these guides with you. And, you know, I keep all my notes and everything, but then because I play expert, I watch you play your qualifying round, and then I just make little adjustments to my notes, because then we see which way the wind's blowing and we can really fine-tune our notes.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And that's the thing, you know, we don't know the wind yet. And that's why, as well as I promoted in the beginning, the updated text guides. The updated text guides is only for Patreons, and though that will be my notes that I play with in tournament. It's easier to say like that, because I always go into detail on how I take every single shot when I do play with my accounts. I'm going to go into detail, and I basically share my stuff with you, my complete notes, and which has been working very well so far. And me myself, I'm streaming directly when the qualifier opens at 9 AM Central European Time, or at 3 AM Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to play all the divisions already as a start, and then the playthroughs comes out during the day, and then I'm basically going to stream every single day as well. Yeah, like normal time. So do not forget to subscribe to both channels. So if you're watching on my channel, you subscribe here, you go over to RJ and subscribe. If you are on RJ's channel, you subscribe there, you come over to my channel, then you subscribe there as well. We both want to thank you so much, and again, if you do have any questions, let us know, and the link is down below. So I will leave it to you, RJ, how we end it here in the video. Let's go.
Happy stroking.
Happy stroking.